It looked like we live. Let's make sure we got everything set up properly. Contender regime boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? What's happening? A random pop-up live on Friday. It's fight week. Better yet, it's fight eve because it's Friday and we have ERICKSON Lubin versus VERGIL Ortiz tomorrow, live on DAZN, live right here in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas at Dickies Arena. I think it's a wonderful matchup. We have Kid Austin on the undercard, which I think is dope, coming off of his big knockout performance versus Tevin Farmer. So it's nice to see him out there again. Man, I think this is just gonna be a really good fight. When this fight first got announced, I was excited about it. A lot of people had mixed feelings simply because everybody want to see VERGIL Ortiz versus Boots, of course. And I can't blame nobody for that shit. I want to see VERGIL Ortiz versus Boots. But we understand in boxing that sometimes you got to wait for certain fights. And there's things that have to happen in the interim before you get those fights that you want. Make sure you hit that like button as you slide through. You know I appreciate it, man. But I'm excited about this fight. We got the weigh-in. Now, I can look up to see, and y'all probably already beat me to it, because I know that they're doing a ceremonial weigh-in at 5 today. Y'all know that's how they doing it now. I'm actually a fan of the ceremonial weigh-ins because you get a chance to get the guys in early, let them do the real weigh-in, and then once we get a chance to see them on stage and they doing interviews and they facing off against each other, and the people get to lay their eyes on them, then they more rehydrated and more energized and things like that. So I actually like that. And I like for fighters to be able to get their weigh in out early so you have even more time to rehydrate and get comfortable. You feel what I'm saying? So if y'all already, I'm about to look it up right now to see what these guys came in at. And if y'all already know, y'all feel free to drop it in the chat. Because I think, from what I was seeing leading up to the fight, both guys look trim and lean. VERGIL Ortiz is always in phenomenal shape. ERICKSON Lubin is a consummate professional, always in excellent shape. So I don't have any doubt that these guys both made weight. Let's take a look and see. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. Somebody said Ortiz looked drained. This is on Boxing 24. Let me see. Both weighed in successfully. Okay, so they both made weight. Okay. So Ortiz weighed in at 153.8 pounds. And ERICKSON Lubin weighed in at 154 pounds, right there on the money. So that's good. We got a fight. And at this point, every fight is even though this is not a title fight, every fight is a title eliminator. Even though the winner is supposedly lined up to get Jaron Boots Ennis next. We know Jaron is brand new to the division, but the winner out of these next two fights, you're gonna be right there in line for a championship. But at this point, it's about the names and it's about the level of competition, because the #1 rated guy in the division per Ring Magazine is VERGIL Ortiz, who is currently not a champion. Shout out to my brother Ravens Nation in the building. What's good? Shout out to the brother, one of the OGs, you know what I'm saying, on the Contender Regime Boxing channel, man. D Luckett in the building. What's good? Shout out to the brother Mike Rhyme in the building. Also one of the OGs, man. Been around for a long time, and I appreciate you for pulling up. Both guys made weight. I'm excited, and I think one thing that I want to talk about is the class that has been shown. Shout out to the brother Tex Rock, another OG in the game. In this boxing game, man, talking this good boxing, man. I appreciate you for pulling up. Said, man, VERGIL will have to bring his A game. He will have to be at his best to win. I'm glad you said that, Tex Rock, because when the fight first got announced, a lot of people was like really shitting on the fact that it's Lubin, but I know it was more so because they want to see Virgil versus Boots. I get it, but we can't, these fights that you get in between, and especially when it's a quality fight, we can't just take that for granted and discount that. And y'all know I've always been a fan of both Ortiz and Lubin, but you know Lubin been around a little bit longer, and I like his game. He's a very skilled fighter. Yes, he has his downfalls and his weaknesses, but I think styles make fights, and looking at the reach advantage that he's gonna have in this fight versus Ortiz, Ortiz have a 70-inch reach, and ERICKSON Lubin got a 74.5-inch reach. Shout out to the brother Southwest Dice in the building. What's good? I think if Lubin can, and we gonna break down the fight, but I think if Lubin can stay disciplined and stick to his game, he can fight on the outside and have loads of success versus Ortiz. But we all know that Ortiz is dominant with the pressure, and he throws punches and bunches, and everything he throw got heat on it. The jabs, the left and the right, head and the body, everything he throw is explosive. So I think that's gonna be something that ERICKSON Lubin gonna have to deal with. This might be one of those fights where Lubin have success early on, similar to how Madrimov had a lot of success versus Ortiz early on in the fight, but you've seen the tide turn because of the pressure and the explosiveness of Ortiz and the determination for him to just continue to move forward and try to get to his man. But just speaking about the fight though, I think Lubin has a real chance to, I would say, reinvigorate his career and get back to that level of when we used to talk about him before he fought Jermell Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Even after the brutal loss to Sebastian Fundora, even after being knocked out by Jermell Charlo, we saw him beat Jesus Ramos. A lot of people felt like he got gifted that win. I thought the decision was just. I really felt like that was a close fight, but I thought that ERICKSON Lubin did a little bit of the better boxing, of the cleaner and clearer boxing in that fight. And I thought that was a rightful win. That was a title eliminator, right? And he didn't fight in 2024, you know, but he came back, has a couple of TKO victories. And now he's getting an opportunity to get in there with Virgil Ortiz, where he can position himself to not only be next in line for the phenom Jaron Boots Ennis, and, you know, take himself to even another level right there, but then you get that opportunity to get that first world championship. You feel what I'm saying? So I think this is a great shot for both guys. For Virgil Ortiz, I'm always a fan of fighters being busy and not just sitting around. And also, when you're taking stay busy, this is way more than a stay busy fight. This is a quality opponent that Virgil Ortiz is about to fight. A very dangerous opponent, right? And so I think if you're going into a fight versus a Jaron Boots Ennis, you want to be fighting guys like ERICKSON Lubin. You don't want to just be taking any old type of fight. And that's really never been Virgil Ortiz's character. He's always been one of those guys willing to step up and answer the bell and get in there with the top guys, dangerous guys, coming off of Boachuk and then Madrimov. Now you about to fight ERICKSON Lubin. And for ERICKSON Lubin, he mentioned this in the face-off, this is his third undefeated opponent in a row. So both of these guys have been through the trenches and have been testing themselves and sharpening up their skills for the opportunity to get on this type of stage and in there with the best. Said Ortiz got a mean jab. He absolutely got a mean jab, bro. And I think he's getting better with placing that jab. We all see the explosiveness and the power on the jab, but I think he's getting better and more strategic, being more cerebral with how he utilizes the jab, and I think that just make him more dangerous. I feel like that fight that he had with Boachuk, which was a very, it was controversial. There was a lot of adversity in the fight that Virgil Ortiz had to overcome. I think that was big for his character. Even the Madrimov fight, I thought that was big for his character because, believe it or not, in the midst of that Madrimov fight, I ain't gonna lie, it looked like moments where Madrimov, it looked like I can't say that Virgil Ortiz looked like he was hurt bad or anything like that, but you know how a fighter can be getting outclassed or getting frustrated. I think frustration is a better word. It looked like he was getting frustrated to the point where it was testing his mental fortitude, and you can stop a guy like that. Like, we done seen Lomachenko stop plenty guys just off of stressing their mental fortitude. You know what I mean? It's like taking their mental fortitude to a limit that they just wasn't able to sustain. They wasn't able to bounce back from. He did that shit with Nicholas Walters. He did it with Guillermo Rigondeaux. I've seen times where I thought similar to how when Lamont Peterson fought Danny Garcia, how Danny Garcia started that fight off, and he was, Lamont Peterson was he took too much time to really start picking it up. But once he started, like, I felt like if that fight was a 15-round fight, he probably could have stopped Danny Garcia, because not off of just power, not off of the physicality, but he was stressing his mental fortitude. You could tell that Danny Garcia was getting frustrated later on in that fight, because he couldn't do it. At the end of the fight, he couldn't do nothing with Lamont Peterson. And that's what it was looking like in the first half of the fight with Vergil Ortiz and Madrimal. But Vergil Ortiz is a very strong fighter mentally. And he pushed forward through that shit, and he was able to finally find his pace, and he started putting them hands and feet and elbows on Madrimal. You dig what I'm saying? So that right, I really believe that fight was a good character building fight for Vergil Ortiz. Sex Rock said, I would like to see Vergil mix up his punch velocity more. I agree, because everything he throws is at the same speed. Everything is explosive. I totally agree. Said experienced ops will start to time you easier and get used to your power as the fight goes on. I absolutely 100% agree, brother, because that's one of the things. That's, if I had to pick any particular like critique or weakness, so to speak, with Ortiz, it'll be that everything is at the same speed. Everything is explosive. He don't really have no changes in, like you said, velocity or speed or explosiveness on his punches. Everything coming at you like a speeding bullet, because every punch has bad intentions behind it. Every punch got bad intentions behind it. That's the same thing that make him dangerous. But when you fight the Jaron Ennis's and the Terrence Crawfords and, might I say, the ERICKSON Lubins of the world, because we got to give ERICKSON Lubin his credit, man. He's a intelligent fighter in the ring. Yeah, he make mistakes, as they all do. Shout out to my brother Jay Harris, too real in the building. What's good? Said, damn, I didn't even get the notification. Salute, fam. I don't know what YouTube got going on, man, but I appreciate you for making it, though, and pulling up. This is just a random pop-up Friday live, man. I felt like this fight is something that's noteworthy and something that we need to discuss and talk about, not just because of the fight in and of itself, but because what it could mean for the immediate future for both guys. Because again, man, I always, like, I love to see the triumph in a fighter's career, especially when they were highly touted, and you can see on the film, you see the potential, you see the level of skill and the talent, like a ERICKSON Lubin. But they have some bumps and bruises along the way, man. But then you get another opportunity to prove yourself and to catapult your career to that level where you feel like you're supposed to be at. I think this is a fight like that for him. You know what I'm saying? For him to get in there with a Jermell Charlo, some may say prematurely, get knocked out brutally, and then you get in there and you go through some of the worst physical damage I've ever seen a fighter take in his fight versus Sebastian Fundora. What'd he do? He come back again. You feel me? A guy like that, bro, you deserve these opportunities. And like I said, for Vergil Ortiz, I think he need to look at this fight like this a Super Bowl type of fight. Because in order for you to get to that next level, for the Jaron Ennis, and then potentially a fight with Sebastian Fundora, maybe even Jermell Charlo fight, like, these next two fights for both of these guys open up everything. And keep in mind, neither one of these guys have been world champion before. Think about that. ERICKSON Lubin is still chasing that first world title. Think about that. Vergil Ortiz been at 47, been at 50, you know, at 54 currently. Both of these guys still chasing that very first world title. So I think it's a meaningful fight, and I'm excited. Said it's crazy to think that both Virgil and Lubin has exactly. Both they've been fighting high level competition for years. Never became world champion. Right? And you know, that's one of the things that I think you know, just randomly bringing up Ryan Garcia in this moment. That's why I was so like, I didn't like that whole thing when the WBC put Ryan Garcia as the mandatory for Devin Haney's title, and then he like, I don't care, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Not because he didn't really want the title, he didn't want the smoke that came with it at the time. But for guys to be moving like that, just like disregarding the opportunity when you got fighters like ERICKSON Lubin and VERGIL Ortiz, that's what they fighting for. You know what I'm saying? These guys going through the fire trying to get to that level. Man, I listened to, I watched the face-off and I watched the press conference, the last press conference that they just had. And one of the guys up there, one of the promoters, was saying, man, y'all name me a fighter who will come to their handler and say, you know what, man, I'll take less money. Just put me in the ring with the best available opponent. Because 9 times out of 10, the more top tier opponents, they're gonna garner more, you know, a financial benefit, right? They're gonna ask for more money in order for them to get in the ring, right? And so when you have a pot of money that you have as a promoter, as a handler who's financing a fight, or where you can pay these guys, the main guy might have to say, look, I'm gonna take a little bit. If he like that, everybody not like that. You know, he might look. You might have to take $500,000 less or $1 million less in order for us to bring in this other guy who is another upper tier type of guy. And he was like, man, Virgil Ortiz came to me and said, bro, it don't matter what it is, bro. Just get me in there with the best guys you can find. That type of attitude, dog. And that ain't saying don't worry about your bread. Make sure your pocket's seen about. That's a fact. Make sure your pocket's good. You feel me? But you also, I think there has to be a balance too. And when you got fighters that move like that, like a Virgil Ortiz and like ERICKSON Lubin, because ERICKSON Lubin doubled back. He said, look, I just did the same shit in my last fight. You feel me? So that's the type of energy that I like, man. And I think both of these guys deserve a ton of credit. Number one, for how they've been carrying themselves leading up into this fight. I ain't heard no crazy, no bullshit, you know, no wild talk. Ain't been no antics. You know, I love the entertainment, right? I love the entertainment, and it's certain guys that's they makeup. That's what they do. And boxing needs that. You know what I'm saying? But I like the guys that's gonna come bring that smoke. You feel me? They trying to get to it. They trying to get to it. Shout out to the okay, I see my brother in there. You feel me? But it's a great fight, man. But let's talk about the actual fight, though. Let's talk about the actual fight. I will jump out and say that I believe Virgil Ortiz has an edge. I will agree that he is the favorite in this fight, rightfully so. He's a fresher fighter, undefeated, 23-0, 21 knockouts. Hasn't tasted defeat yet. Shout out to the brother Mo G in the building. What's good? Shout out to the brother Ace MM in the building. What's good? Fresher. Been at, you know, he's acclimated to the division now. Younger. Extremely strong fighter. We just talked about his mental fortitude and strength. Now I'm talking about the physical strength. And you look at the competition that he just ran through. Boachuk, Madramal, 2 very tough and awkward guys to beat, to get a W on. We've seen the type of performance or effort that Madramal put up versus the great Terrence Bud Crawford. So, I mean, it's hard to beat a guy like Vergil Ortiz, man. It's hard to beat a dude like that. And then when you got a guy like ERICKSON Lubin, who has been susceptible to power punchers, guys that can line their shots up, you know, accurately and precisely, guys who know how to put you in a position to land their best punches, guys that fight with both the ability to box and punch. It's going to be a huge task for ERICKSON Lubin to get a dub over Vergil Ortiz. Can he do it? Absolutely. I think ERICKSON Lubin, he's going to have to try to stay away from the thing that has bit him in the past. The same shit that got to him in the Sebastian Fundora fight and with the Jermell Charlo fight, trying to go to war. You know what I'm saying? Getting a little bit overzealous. Yes, believe in your power, but you got to be smart with it. You know what I'm saying? His name is Hammer Time. He say he got Jack and he got Sledge. But you got to be smart with how you know, deploying those weapons and how you using that versus, you know, your opponent and picking your spots. I think with the 74.5-inch reach versus 70-inch reach, that's got to be something that you utilize if you're ERICKSON Lubin. That's got to be something that you utilize. You can't let advantages like that go to the wayside when you're already the underdog. When you're already the underdog, bro, the few advantages that you got to lean on those, or you got to at least have specialized strategies in your game plan to use that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think Lubin gonna have to, he looked like he in shape, right? I think he gonna have to be very fleet of foot in this fight. I ain't talking about on some scary type shit or just moving just to move. I'm talking about being able to box on the move, lateral movement. You know what I'm saying? Being able to box going forward and going back. I don't think he should just retreat the whole fight. There absolutely has to be moments where he is first and where he asserts himself and try to push Vergil Ortiz back, because how often have y'all seen Vergil Ortiz Jr. fight off the back foot? I think that's what Madrimov had some success with pushing Vergil Ortiz back. He just couldn't keep it up. You know? But with ERICKSON Lubin, man, I think he gonna have to have a perfect mixture of lateral movement and fighting from the outside, sniping from the outside, so to speak, keeping Ortiz at the end of his punches. And then also you got to invest in the body too, which is dangerous. All of this shit that ERICKSON Lubin gonna have to do to beat Vergil Ortiz is gonna be risky as hell. Even just staying on the outside is gonna be risky, because a lot of times these guys, when they fight from the outside, they get so caught up with just moving, and then you tire yourself out, like how Frank Martin did versus Tank Davis. You get tired in the 7th and 8th round, and now your ass is USDA prime beef, you're dead meat. You know what I'm saying? Said, I think Lubin can outbox him if he chooses to. I absolutely agree. Said, where do Lubin go if he loses this one? That's a great question. Man, that's a great question. And you know what? Being an ERICKSON Lubin fan, I asked myself that question because though I believe he has a chance to win this fight, I do think that if I had to put my money on it, Vergil Ortiz wins this fight in a great action-packed and you know, chess match with action type of fight. But I have asked myself that question, man. For a guy like Lubin, I think he's gonna keep going. You know, maybe you get in there and get a rematch with Jermell Charlo. Because keep in mind, the Jermell Charlo fight was, it was over just like that. We didn't really get to see Jermell Charlo versus ERICKSON Lubin. Like, stylistically, we didn't really get a chance to, like, see an entire fight play out. You feel what I'm saying? And Jermell Charlo got a couple of losses on his record. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that ain't too loud. That's my dryer and shit, y'all. But god damn. But Jermell Charlo got a couple of losses on his record, right? He's in a position to try to come back and redeem himself off of that shitty ass performance he put up versus Canelo. So I think Lubin can go after that fight. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a fight that can get him some money. It's a competitive fight. It's a grudge match. Yeah, man, I think that's a great question, bro. But if I'm Lubin and you lose this fight, even if he win this fight, I mean, if you win, then go get boots. You dig what I'm saying? And then that's going to ultimately lead him down a path of fight Jermell Charlo anyway, if he win this fight. But if he loses this fight, hey, man, you can still go in there and they can sell the Jermell Charlo rematch. Shout out to the brother, Mr. Euro Dollars in the building. Said, I'm late, but I'm here. Man, I appreciate you for pulling up, brother. You know what I'm saying? You ain't late, man. You right on time. Said Lubin has to pull a Floyd and box this fight. Said fight in spurts and mix it up to win. I agree. He definitely gonna have to mix it up. Gonna have to be extremely sharp. You know, can't get complacent in there, and he can't just rely on one thing. Like I said, with the lateral movement and the fighting backwards, he can't just rely on that. He gonna have to mix it up, know when to be first and know when to move. Says has to perform good. Says has to perform good, win or lose, especially with no promoter. Charlo might not take it. Yep, I can see that. Said, shout out to the brother PMO TV in the building. What's good? Said, I don't see Virgil's power at 154. I see where you coming from because you're comparing the power to what it was at 147. I can see that. He's definitely not steamrolling guys like he was at 47, but I do see the power at 54. And I think as he continues to step up in competition, you'll see like half and half. Like some of these guys, he gonna be putting real power on them, and he gonna get some stoppages. You know what I'm saying? But then when you fight the Boost Ennis's and you fight the Bakram Murataliev, you know what I'm saying? Like those guys, it's gonna be hard to stop them. You feel me? Like Madrimov, it's hard to stop a Madrimov. You feel what I'm saying? So it really just depends. It really depends on who you get in the ring with, bro. And as you continue to raise up in the level of competition, it's hard to stop these guys. But I do see the power. The explosiveness and the power is there. And I think it's enough for a guy like if a guy is being lax on defense, they're not protecting themselves, you know, and they not being aware of what's coming back at him, he can definitely land some shit and you know, get you up out of there. But I see what you're saying, though. It definitely don't look the same as 47. But that, honestly, I don't think it's the weight. I think it's more so who he's fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the guy, he fought a guy that was it was on the same card where Ryan Garcia was on. Ryan Garcia had fought the dude. Ryan Garcia had got a stoppage. I think that was his first fight with Derrick James. Let me go and see what fight that was with Ortiz. Y'all remember where Ortiz dropped the dude with the body shot? It was a beautiful punch. A beautiful punch. Stopped him with a body shot. And that you could tell that was one of them shots where it's like a one-hitter quitter. You feel what I'm saying? Like it radiated power. You know? So he definitely got the power. He definitely got power at 54. I think it's more so the guys that he's been fighting, man. He ain't been fighting no scrubs. At least not in the last couple of fights. Let me see that guy's name. So he fought, it was it, yeah, Thomas Delorme. But I mean, we done seen Delorme get stopped plenty of times, so that ain't really proving nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now, it was a body shot. Shout out to the OG Mr. Money in the building, man. What's good? I appreciate you for pulling up, dog. What's happening? But that's an example, though. So when he fought a guy like, you know, a D-level fighter, you know, a guy that a stay busy type of guy, he stopped him. That's at 54. But if you look at who he fought after Thomas Delorme, his next fight was against Boachuk. That ain't a guy you just finna, I don't care how much power you got. You ain't just finna go in there and stop Boachuk. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna have to put them together to get him up out of there. Madrimov was right after that. You gonna have to put them together to stop Madrimov. You feel what I'm saying? You gotta put them together. And I'm looking at the, let me see. So I'm looking at BoxRec right now. And you see the stars by their name. You know what I'm saying? The stars by the opponent's name. So Delorme being a guy, a 2-star guy, but then you fight a 5-star in Boachuk, and then Madrimov, a 5-star caliber guy, at least in that division, and then another guy like that versus ERICKSON LUBIN. You know, I think this fight, he has a chance to get the stoppage because we've seen Lubin be susceptible to power. Jay Harris said, I got Lubin winning. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't see what y'all saying in I don't see what y'all see in Virgil. I just don't. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like that. But you know what? I'm not mad at you, brother, because I believe Lubin can win this fight. I think ERICKSON LUBIN can absolutely win this fight. Will I be surprised if Lubin outboxes Ortiz? Absolutely not. I will not be surprised. Will I be like impressed? Yes. I will be extremely impressed. Not because I didn't believe he can do it. I feel like at this time, right now, I just feel like it's Virgil time right now. You know? I think he's trending. I just feel like it's his time. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Says skill for skill, I rate Lubin higher. I just wonder how his punch resistance will be. Fact. Tex Rock, that is exactly how I feel about this. That's exactly how I feel about ERICKSON LUBIN. I've never, in any fight with ERICKSON LUBIN, maybe outside of the Jermell Charlo fight, because at that time, like y'all know how I feel about Jermell Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Even after all the shit I gave him with the Canelo fight, you can't take away what the brother done did in the ring. So the Jermell Charlo fight is probably the only fight where when Lubin went into it, I'm like, I don't know if he's skill for skill better than this guy. You know what I'm saying? We knew experience-wise he wasn't on that level. But I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else, skill for skill, I never saw ERICKSON LUBIN go into a fight where I'm like, skillfully, he can't compete. I never felt that way. I never felt, with the Sebastian Fundora fight, I never felt like none of these guys were more skillful than ERICKSON LUBIN. My whole thing with him was what happens when he gets hit with something flush and something meaningful. That's always been my question mark with ERICKSON LUBIN. What happens when he get hit with something flush and something meaningful? You know? Because, and I don't question his heart either. Because in the Sebastian Fundora fight, got dropped 2 times, was beaten brutally, took a whole lot of punishment, but he finished the fight on his feet. You know, Coach Cunningham had to stop the fight. And shout out to Coach Cunningham for stopping that, because I agree with that stoppage. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you got to save a guy from himself. Especially if you truly got your fighter's best interest at heart. Like, don't be on no bullshit, no spiteful shit trying to stop a fight just cause, you know what I'm saying, on some Kenny Porter and Sean Porter shit with the Terrence Crawford fight. Even though if Kenny had to let that fight go on, Sean Porter was gonna get stopped. But he wasn't getting brutally beat though. I felt like you gotta let that happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think they had some whole personal shit. It was like some spiteful stuff going on. But with Kevin Cunningham, what he did with Lubin was taking a lot of damage. You know what I'm saying? He was taking a lot of damage. You feel me? To the point where I don't need to see no more. I already know where this heading. And I know Lubin ain't gonna stop fighting. You feel me? So sometimes you gotta save a guy from himself. But there was nothing about his heart that I questioned in that fight. You know, so it's never been a matter of heart or dog with Lubin. It's literally his punch resistance, like the brother Tex Rock said. Like you can't really control how you react to a shot. There's things that you can do to mitigate the impact of the shot. You know, rolling with the punches, you know, trying to catch the shots. And well, let's just talk about flush shots or shots where you're not blocking them, right? Then you can roll with the shot. That can help mitigate the impact. You know, maybe the way you bite down on your mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? If you see the punch coming, right? Like if you see the shot coming, you can brace for it a little bit better as opposed to not seeing it and it just catch you off guard. It's certain things that you can do to help mitigate or limit the impact of the shot. But truthfully, as a human being, bro, you can't really control how your body reacts to pressure. You can't really do shit about that, bro. Either you gonna feel that shit more than somebody else will feel it. You know what I'm saying? Or you might be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? But that's literally the only question mark that I've ever had about ERICKSON LUBIN. Never been a matter of his skill. All right, let me say this. I take that back. It's one other thing, because sometimes I believe he does like get overzealous. I do believe that. I believe sometimes he do get a little bit overzealous. But even me saying that, that's me being a stickler, right? That's me. I think that's me being a little bit hard on him critique-wise, because he don't be getting hit a whole lot. It's just that the shots that do land flush, they be having a lot of impact. And every fighter gonna get hit. Some fighters just take shots better. So, you know, maybe I'm asking for Lubin to be perfect on defense when that's never gonna happen. Nobody else, there's only one Floyd Mayweather. And even Floyd wasn't perfect on defense, but Floyd was the most perfect thing the closest to perfect that we ever gonna see in the sport on defense. Hey, my brother Jay Harris Terrell said, man, I still hate KP for that. Hey, man, that made me, when I seen that made me start back calling Kenny Porter K. Diddy, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, that was a K. Diddy move. Said Lubin gets pulled into a firefight sometimes too. Yep, I was just saying that. He gets pulled into a firefight sometimes too. Said I just wonder how he stays disciplined and stay away from a ton of exchanges versus a guy that is super aggressive and athletic enough to compete with him. Man, that's a question right there. That's something I'm gonna be paying attention to, right? And you know, I feel like since Boost Ennis is in the equation, right, and he's supposedly gonna be present in person at the fight, I want to throw this out there because not many guys do this. Like, not many guys make these adjustments fight the fight. Y'all remember when Jaron Ennis fought Chris Van Heerden, right? And we know how that fight ended, right? Ended in the head, but no contest. But he was putting the beats on him. But he was so, like, anxious to get his shit off. And I seen it a little bit in the David Avanesian fight, too. You know what I'm saying? And I've criticized him for these things, but then I've also seen him come back in the very next fight and make the adjustment that I asked for him to make. To be more patient and to let the shit come to you. And that tells me that's a sign of intelligence in a fighter. That's a sign of a thinking man, right? Somebody who is aware, like self-aware and willing to make those small tweaks to get a better outcome the next time around, right? But there's very few fighters that do that. A lot of these guys just are who they are. And that's one thing that I'm afraid of with ERICKSON LUBIN. I'm afraid of that he could be just whoever he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could be just that guy, like you said, Tex Rock, that gets lured into firefights. You know, even when he don't have to. when he could just take a step back and be a little bit more patient and grounded and, you know, be more, you know, visual and looking for things as opposed to just trying to force stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that I see that adjustment in this fight because I think he's capable. But again, you know, you can only judge that when you at this level. I can't really judge it off of Luis Arias. You know what I'm saying? The Jesus Ramos fight was a really good performance. But even then, Jesus Ramos was still a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like, he still had a little Similac on his breath. You feel what I'm saying? I'm talking about the guys like the VERGIL Ortizes, the Sebastian Fondoras, you know, them, the Jaron Boots, them type of guys. I want to see you at that level make the adjustment that I'm asking you to make. You dig what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I think about. Like, and I like to give guys credit when you're able to do that. You know what I'm saying? When you're able to see what you did in your last fight and be able to be objective and point out the you know, the spaces where you could have did something different to get a better outcome. Shout out to the OG, Mr. Money, said his punch resistance is only in question because of the Fondora fight. He just got clipped against Mel. He took no punishment against Mel. You know what? I ain't gonna say that I can't really 100% agree with that, OG Mr. Mont, because I felt like him getting hit like that versus Mel, maybe it did something to him mentally and physically too. Because I believe once guys get knocked out like that, it scrambles your brain a little bit. And this is just me. I haven't did no sports science study on this shit, so I'm just speculating. I think it does make you more susceptible when you get hit with those shots. You know what I'm saying? But I've seen guys that get knocked out before and they come back and they be strong as hell. But with who was the fight that, what's the guy name? Let me go to ERICKSON LUBIN. And Mr. Munt, what I'm doing right now, I'm explaining to you why I question his punch resistance. Because even though he didn't get knocked out, he only got knocked out versus Mel, the Terrell Gausha fight. I saw him get hurt in that fight. And he ain't had no business getting hurt in that fight. Again, all fighters get hit. Everybody gonna take a shot, but he got hurt in the Terrell Gausha fight. I didn't like that. And then he went into the Fondora fight, got dropped twice. I didn't like that. So yeah. Tex Rock just said he been hurt in several fights. I didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm seeing you in several fights, not one, not two, but several fights, you're having visual reactions to punches, I'm questioning your punch resistance. I have to question it. And Terrell Gausha he not no puncher like that. Terrell Gausha 24 wins with 12 knockouts. He not a puncher like that. He hurt ERICKSON LUBIN. And that was one of the reasons why I was afraid for Lubin a little bit in the Sebastian Fondora fight. Because I'm like, man, you know, this dude got these long ass arms and he gonna be throwing 1,000 punches. And I know some of them shits gonna get through. I don't know if Lubin gonna be able to keep his backside off the ground. You know? That was a question for me. Shout out to the brother Mo G said, yo, I got to get your take on the Foster versus Fulton fight. I got the man from Orange. Hey, look. Man, that's a great fight, dog. That is a great fight and one that I'm extremely excited about. Honestly, and shout out to Stephen Fulton because he's another one. Oshaki Foster too. Guys that have taken L's. Guys that have been thrown away by the vast majority of the boxing fans as, you know, done and washed. And these guys continue to get back up and fight the top competition and, you know, get in the ring and do it all over again, man. So shout out to both of them for that. I think that's a great match. Honestly, if I had to lean towards one guy, I think Foster has more momentum right now. I think Foster has a little bit of the edge. Honestly, Stephen Fulton, though I believe in his skill set, I like the fact that he can box, he can brawl. You know what I'm saying? Like Stephen Fulton, he don't got a lot of power, but he has the heart and the ability to fight on the inside and have a high volume type of fight. And he can box and pick his shots and fight economically. He can box off the back foot. Stephen Fulton is one of those guys who can do a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes him a tough matchup for really anybody, because he's so adaptable to whoever the opponent is. You know what I'm saying? But I think O'Shaquie Foster right now is a little bit hungrier. He has more momentum. I think Foster has been sharper in more recent fights than Fulton has. And I still don't know if Fulton has fully recovered from being stopped by the Japanese guy, in a way. You know what I'm saying? I still don't know if he's fully recovered from that, you know? And I mean, in a way, is a pound for pound level guy. So I can't judge Fulton too much off of that performance and say, and really take his stock all the way down because you lost to Inoue. But for me, it was how he lost. You know what I'm saying? Now, bear in mind, Naoya Inoue stopped plenty of motherfuckers, right? So, I mean, this might sound crazy to say, but it really ain't no shame in getting stopped by a guy who stopped everybody. But it was just how it happened, though, man. He was so disoriented when he got hit. You know what I'm saying? You know, I gotta see him. I think this is the fight right here that's gonna show me where he at. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna show me where he at. This is gonna show me where he at. I think it's a great fight. I think it's an evenly matched fight. If I just had to lean towards anybody, I would lean towards Foster. But I think that Stephen Fulton absolutely has all of the tools to win that fight. And we seen Stephen Fulton on a higher level. Stephen Fulton been in the ring with better fighters. Brandon Figueroa, Luis Neri, Naoya Inoue. Though these are smaller guys, Fulton has been in the ring with better fighters. He has a better resume. He has, I think he has a higher pedigree, a higher level of pedigree, you know, with the guys. Now, Foster have been in inspired a whole lot of guys too, you know, but when Fulton coming up in the same gym as Boots, being around that level of talent and skill, that type of mentality of, and being from Philly, you know, a lot of Philly fighters, man, they real big on just, I don't give a fuck who you put me in the ring with, what's good, we scrapping. I like that mentality. And I think it's gonna be a great fight. Said O'Shaquie starts too late for me. He don't get started until round 6. I got Fulton outpoint him. I can absolutely see that, Mr. Munt. Absolutely. And I've seen that. I've seen that same thing that you see with O'Shaquie Foster. He did that in man, what was that fight? The fight where he took the L, but I thought it low-key could have been, I forget who he was fighting. I thought that could have been a draw. Let me see. He does that though. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a great fight for both of them though. Versus Robson Conceição. Yeah, that's what it was. Conceição. That's why he lost. He took too long to really start picking it up. I agree with you. That's why he lost. He took too long. You know what I'm saying? He had no business losing that fight at all. The first fight with Conceição, he had no business losing that fight. Absolutely no business losing that fight. No business losing that fight. at all. At all. And if he do that versus Stephen Fulton, he will lose. If he take the same approach versus Stephen Fulton that he did in that first fight versus Robson, he will lose. So that's a great fight, man. But I want to touch on this before we get out of here. So I think we all talked about who we think may win tomorrow night with Ortiz and ERICKSON Lubin. What do we think about Boots Ennis fighting the winner? And is it a foregone conclusion that Boots beats either guy? What do y'all think about Boots versus Ortiz? What do y'all think about Boots versus Lubin? Do you think either fighter presents a higher level of a challenge than the other? Or are you like, shit, I got Boots beating both of them? Or if you do have Boots beating both of them, do you think one matchup would be tougher than the other? Because again, Vergil Ortiz right now per Ring Magazine is rated the #1 fighter, even without a title. So whoever wins this fight and fights Boots, they could very well be catapulted and lifted up to that #1 status. Oh, said Lubin is a tougher style matchup. D Luckett said Vergil is tailor-made for Boots. Oh, honestly think Lubin is a tougher style matchup. Oh, okay. See, that's why I asked y'all the questions, man. That's why I asked y'all the questions, because I know y'all gonna come with that shit, man. Something very insightful that we can talk about and break down. You know? Man, okay. So Vergil's style is exactly what Boots likes. Y'all not wrong. Y'all not wrong. Y'all not wrong. Like, Boots want a guy who gonna be right there coming forward, you know, straight up and down. Even though Ortiz, he might have that traditional come forward, you know, fight in the phone booth, Mexican type of style. But it's a little bit elevated, right? Like, there's a certain level of explosiveness and power and that raw mentality, as well as a really good jab, you know, and just a lot of mental toughness that come behind that, right? And that sounds like the traditional Mexican style. So I think that for that style to give Boots trouble, it's gonna have to be on, I don't want to use this term, steroids, right? I want to use that term because Ortiz I'm metaphorically speaking, you know what I'm saying? Not literally, but like, it's gonna have to be supercharged. You know, it's gonna have to be that style, but supercharged on a whole nother level for that shit to give Boots trouble. You know what I'm saying? But with Lubin though, Lubin bring a little bit more diversity. He bring a little bit more complexity when it comes to the things that he can do, him forcing Boots to think, him being able to set traps. And then he has a different level of athleticism, being a fellow Black American fighter who can do certain things. Y'all remember when he hit the little squat, you know what I'm saying, the little dip down to be able to get himself closer within range. A lot of people didn't pick up on that. You know what I'm saying? He hit Buddy with the little dip down. People thought that shit was just for show. No, that was him disguising an attempt to get closer in range. And then the very next shot was a knockout shot. Like, stuff like that level of creativity. You know what I'm saying? I think that might be tougher. Man, bro, y'all coming with that shit, man. I could definitely see that. Said Vergil loses badly against Boots. Damn. Said Virgil, in my opinion, is a bigger version of Stanionis. Damn. Hey, Mr. Munn, you just said some shit. Hey, you just said some shit, bruh. You just said something right there. Because think about Imantas Stanionis. What was Imantas Stanionis? And y'all know I like Imantas Stanionis. You know what I'm saying? I like Stanionis. What was his whole makeup, his style? High pressure. A lot of people said he looked like a machine. You know what I'm saying? Very robotic, but it was polished though. Just like how Ortiz, I think Ortiz is, like you said, it's bigger. I think he's a little bit more polished and a little bit more explosive, right? A little bit more mean than Stanionis. But stylistically though, it's the same thing. It's just packaged a little bit differently. They coming forward with good jab, everything technically sound with just the basic shots, jab, straight rights, the overhands, the left hooks to the body, the right cross to the body, everything explosive. He going to the head and to the body, mixing it up real good. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Vigilante Kato in the building. What's good? Appreciate you for pulling up. Like he got all of that. It's packaged a little differently, but it's pretty much it's the same thing. Damn. And we seen what Boots did to Stanionis. I could definitely see that. I could see that happening. I could see him. Damn, man. Hey, ain't that crazy though? That's a testament to the saying styles make fights. Because Ortiz could very well go in there tomorrow night and put belt to ass on Lubin. But then he get in there with Boots Ennis and get blasted out of there. Styles make fights. You know what I'm saying? And then a guy like Lubin might give Boots a way better fight. You feel me? That's crazy. That's a great comparison. Said Virgil will catch you between facts. Virgil will catch. So and Stanionis wasn't really good at that. I'm glad you brought that up, Tex Rock. And that's what I mean by it's packaged a little bit differently. Because Ortiz will catch you between shots. He will. Stanionis wasn't really doing that. Stanionis gonna get his shit off, and then kind of like my favorite fighter. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of my favorite fighters, Earl the True Spence Jr. You know what I'm saying? That's how Earl was. But Earl was on a lot of people compared Stanionis' style to Earl. I thought that was misplaced, but I saw where they was coming from. It was misplaced because his style was only a portion of what Earl do. You know what I'm saying? Earl do so much more than that and is packaged differently. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people compare Virgil Ortiz to Earl Spence Jr. in his heyday. I think that's misplaced too, because they look at the explosive jab from Ortiz. They look at the fundamental straight up and down, but with the, very explosive to the body, to the head, and the steadfast, mean, the pressure, leaning on you, that Texas style. But I thought that was misplaced too, because Earl his shit was packaged more. He could do more things. You know what I'm saying? But I see similarities in these guys. You feel me? So, damn. But Ortiz, he absolutely can throw between shots. And that's something that Stanionis didn't do very good. And, Earl didn't really throw in between shots like that. You know what I'm saying? Stanionis more of a guy, he gonna get his shit off while you blocking or trying to block, getting his shit off. And his shit, he just gonna overwhelm you. And then when you getting your shit off, he blocking or, playing defense. Now, he didn't have the pivot and lateral movement game of an Earl Spence. You know what I'm saying? Which is his downfall. But Virgil Ortiz has the ability to throw in between your shots. So he not just going to play tit for tat with you. He going to get you while you trying to get off too. That's dangerous. That's one of the reasons why I think with Lubin, he could be in some trouble in this fight. You know what I'm saying? He could get himself in some trouble in this fight. He can get in some trouble in this fight. Said this win for Lubin would give him motivation against a guy like Boots says Lubin has more experience than Boost too. Facts. Facts. Like big fight experience. Big fight experience. I mean, he's older, been in the game longer. You know, he done fought better, way better competition. I think we could clearly say that if ERICKSON Lubin was Jaron Boost Ennis' very next fight, this would be the best opponent that he ever been in the ring with. I think we can all clearly say that. So, yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. I will be looking forward to the ceremonial weigh-in. I believe it's going to be 5 p.m. Central Time. So what I'll probably do is a short on that just to talk about what I seen. You know, how the fighters look at this point. They're gonna be rehydrated, and you know, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do some interviews and stuff like that. So we'll touch on that, man. And I'm excited about tomorrow, and I'm ready to see Kid Austin back in the ring. I want to see what his energy and his temperament is like after getting such a big victory over Tevin Farmer and being able to carry that on, because I think that Kid Austin really impressed a lot of people, and I can't say that I felt like he was gonna lose versus Tevin Farmer, but I didn't think he was gonna perform like that. So that really made me look at Kid Austin in a different light. You know what I'm saying? He injured? He not fighting? He hurt? Come on, man. Don't tell me that, Tex Rock. He done messed off the undercard? Don't tell me that, Tex Rock. Come on now. He pulled out. Oh my God. See, I'm over here giving these dudes credit and kudos and you know, come on, man. Oh, come on, man. I thought he was still fighting. Come on, man. Terrible. Last week, oh my God, where have I been at? Damn. Well, speedy recovery to him. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to see him in the ring again. You dig what I'm saying? But excited about the main event, though. I'm going to do a short once I see the weigh-in and just kind of see what these guys looking like, what they talking like. You know what I'm saying? See if I can find some things to look for in the fight tomorrow, man. But I hope y'all have an amazing rest of y'all Friday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned for more to come, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holla at y'all, boys, man. Hold it down.